Hello there, my name's Brandon and I make pictures out of tiny squares. And today I'm going to be making some new HanaPet designs for Petal Runner. And I've got some ideas about how to expand the roster into kind of new categories or themes of pets, and we'll get into those. But first up, I'm getting started here with a simple Panda design. And when I'm heading into a new design, even for something like the Panda, I'll start with a basic rough sketch. And what I try to do with the sketch is to draw with a level of simplicity that's kind of similar to what might be achieved in a little 16 pixel or so sprite size. So really, the point of the rough sketch is just to get a quick way of playing with the overall proportion and also figuring out any of the more unique features in the design and not trying to get like too overly detailed with it, which definitely suits my artistic pen to paper skill just fine. And then when it comes to making it in pixel form, I like to pop the sprites of Callie and Kira just off to the side there. And those really help as having this point of reference for how the new pet is going to scale against the player sprites. And also just to make sure that I maintain a similar kind of style in terms of like how the color and the shading are used throughout the sprite. To finish it off, I like to give them an idling animation. And my usual formula for this is to make a 2-frame animation where on the second frame, we just lower the head by 1 pixel and then raise the arms up, usually by 1 pixel. With this sprite, I like to think of them just sitting on the ground. So I made an alternate idea where the arms don't move and then they're just sort of planted on the ground and then the feet are kicking instead, which is actually a fun body language that we don't have yet for any of the other HanaPets. Now, in the world of the game, these pet creatures are actually digital in nature. They're hard light holograms that spawn from these flower-powered energy cells, which you'll be delivering in your role as a Petal Runner. And the pet designs really play an important part in the visual interest and the storytelling of the game. You know, you're going to be encountering pets during deliveries, obviously, but they're also just out there in the world. These HanaPets, they're kind of the hot thing in Sapphire Valley the moment that we're dropped into the story. So I'd like to find really fun and diverse designs for the pets, and maybe even some that fit thematically into certain locations or certain scenarios. And what I'm putting together here is this little egg creature. At first my idea was to have just these eyes peeking out from a crack in the shell, but I ended up giving it arms or wings, I guess, and some feet also, so it kind of turned into this fun little creature. And a design like this, for me, it just represents a nice dialing up from some of the more traditional designs like the dogs and the cats and such, which of course they need to exist as well. These pets are all my children now, but I'm really excited about sprinkling in some of these oddball type characters into the world also. In finalizing this one, again, we'll give it the tried and true idle animation by dropping the head and raising the arms. And in this case, I liked how that top piece of the eggshell was starting to look like it was just a little hat. So I decided to toss a 3rd frame into the animation where that shell piece just kind of hops off the head just a little bit, which gives this really fun and bouncy idle animation. All right, I'm feeling warmed up on these oddball designs, and I want to make something kind of mysterious or unexplainable. So this right here is just this amorphous sort of dark cloud. I don't know if it's a nebula or maybe an electrical storm or something along those lines. But I like to imagine that this could make for a pretty fun interaction. Now, while the design itself is quite simple, what's really going to sell this effect is to give it this nice, undulating, nebulous animation, right? So to get this going, I roughed in 3 bumpy silhouettes. And the middle one there, that's actually just a mirror image of the first one, but since the bumps are in a different spot along the silhouette, that's going to work just fine. Then I detailed them with the eyes and the sparkles, and throwing these all together with a gentle bobbing up and down, we get this effect that really conveys that freeform appearance for this guy. So pretty simple, but definitely a unique one for the roster nonetheless. The next design is actually one that we need for a quest that we're in the middle of developing. Without giving away any spoilers, the themes at play for this quest would really suit this particular HanaPet having an almost otherworldly vibe about them. And we ended up focusing that loose concept into 2 stylistic ideas. The first would be something that could have graceful movements, almost inspired by a ballerina in a way. And you can see at this point, I'm making this kind of a flared out, flowy sort of body, which I guess really at this point, that just looks like a ghost. But the second idea to kind of elevate this was that we wanted a visual feature that could play off of that fluidity. And we came up with this idea of floating orbs that can fly around, almost like planets in a solar system. I took this a step further by figuring out a resting look for the character, where when the orbs aren't active, they gather up into a sort of headband or crown on the head. And then the idea is that we can have the character emote in different ways by having the orbs come down and fly around in different motions and such. So when thinking about animation, this one's a little bit more ambitious, but I started by getting a basic idling going for the body, where the edge of that sheet just kind of scrolls along to give that rotating effect. Then, independently from that, I built out this 3-frame loop of the orbs circling around. And the cool thing here was just finding this slight bit of dimensionality for them, where the circle size drops down by a pixel as it moves toward the back, which I think just gives this really nice and noticeable perspective to it. Bringing these two ideas together, we end up with this animation of the orbs now orbiting the body as orbs do, which you can see I've also connected up to that resting pose of the crown conformation. And for due diligence, I prepped a couple other animations just to explore the other ways that the orbs could be used for expressions and to check how they might work as a substitute for the idea of hands and feet if we needed that. And all in all, I think there's a lot of fun potential in this kind of design concept to work with. So pretty happy with how this one came out. And bringing them all together from today, I think there's a lot to look forward to in continuing to explore more of these unique designs that really fit into the game world in interesting ways. So I hope you enjoyed this look at the new sprites, and we're going to close out with some CRT time to check them out in a few in-game mockups. So thank you for watching, and take care and keep it square.